Hello everyone, welcome to the Thinker's Corner. Today we have with us a dear friend Rocky Selvaraj. She is an contemporary artist based in UK. Today we'll talk about her journey into art and also different aspect of her life. So welcome Rocky to our show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Neeraj? Thanks for having me on this episode today. Looking forward to share as much as possible.
So let's start our conversation with the basic question about how you started your journey into art, and it would also be good to tell us more about your background.
Where do I begin? Long story short, I used to paint and absolutely loved art as a kid. I am South Indian, like usual Indian families. I had the expectations to do medicine or engineering. I did engineering in the end, and then there was a point I knew that I had the calling for art. I quit my job. I had the circumstances to follow my passion at that point. And then, luckily, beginner's luck, I fetched or I got some commissions, private commissions. I started getting some positive breakthroughs in 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 arts. So that led me to wanting to know more, do more. So I was copying from photos. I was doing regular stuff, landscapes, portraits. I basically did spend a lot of time learning the basics. And then there was a point I was like, okay, I'm copying from photos. I am doing the, you know, uh,
The sketches and
yeah,
portraits,
yeah.
basically.
It was like I'm not expressing anything of my own. I'm not
Mm.
creating. There was a space there where I started wondering what I really want to do, and at that point, it all happened like suddenly, quickly. I came over to the UK. I did a master's in fine arts, and even when I was doing my fine arts degree, I had so much confusion on what I wanted to do. I couldn't pick a topic because I did not have my own practice before the MA. So I took a lot of time and I tried to let my subconscious thoughts show through my paintings by not really um, thinking much. Someday I would just paint roses, someday I would paint an apple, or someday I would paint human skin or wounds or anything.
Mm.
And then after a point of 6 or 7 months, I I started to have this inner dialogue of, or this understanding of myself
Mm.
that everything that I paint is somehow painful
Mm.
and I do not recognize what it is, or I'm not yet in a position, or I've never really been able to talk about why, what. Even my professors would ask me what's the meaning, what does my wound mean? Are they physical wounds or are they emotional wounds? And I would have no answer because if I have to tell them the truth or if I have to speak about it, first I need to come in terms with me, right?
Mm.
And yeah, it took a lot of time for me to like understand myself, and my practice was all about acknowledging my pain, hurt, and everything around caste, my caste, and everything around me, and my relationships, my personal um, um, interactions with anybody, friends or even colleagues or even at work.
Mm.
So yeah, that's a very long story. I didn't make it any short, did I?
Yeah, it's absolutely fine that it it is such a inspiring, and also that there are a roller coaster journey, and which needs to be
Absolutely.
told in a that broader and
Yeah,
in a detailed manner, basically,
absolutely.
and you have did basically. So what I just kind of want to know more about your art forms. You have already talked about that, how your identity and your journey yourself has been kind of continuously reflected on your arts.
Yeah.
So how do you see the relationship between your art and your identity and your particularly your background?
Yeah.
Where do you come from basically?
Absolutely. I think we all perceive the world around and we experience life completely based on our understanding of who we are. And for me, it was always an issue from the beginning. I was half Keralite, Malayali, and half Tamil.
Mm.
So I couldn't really belong to any specific, you know, boundaries, or I couldn't really have like a specific identity to myself. Like, for example, my mom's family would call me a Tamil. My Tamil family would say that, okay, you're a Malayali,
Mhm.
you're one of us. And then there were also different religions.
Yeah,
Like, one was Christian, other was Hindu.
Hindu.
So it was always a thing, like, where I couldn't really belong into any specific category, and I would always rebel against both.
Hmm.
When they say that, I would say, no.
I'm not.
Uh, if they like make a comment about, the other
Mm.
one, or I would always rebel against them.
Hmm.
Like, for example, if it's someone who is from my Kerala side
Mm.
makes a comment about Tamil, I
Mm.
would defend for Tamils.
Mm.
But when they do the otherwise, I would defend,
Mm.
the Kerala side. So it's just, I just think my circumstances made me rebellious in
Against
everything,
everything.
everything, and yeah, that's like a serious, or I don't see it as a very positive thing, neither as a negative thing, but become a part of myself, and
Mm.
it also came it also started showing in my art practice as well, because uh, more than myself, my professors and other people, they understood how I thought or what it could be, but
Mm.
I wouldn't agree with them because I was so used to rebel. I would be like, no, that's not the meaning. I'm just doing it.
Mm.
I'm just painting wounds. No, I'm not painful.
Mm.
I'm not, I'm not really bothered. I'm not hurt. I'm okay.
Mm.
I would always rebel. And then there were so many points I couldn't do it. And then I think it took me an year to like come in terms with the actuality of how hurt I am, or how affected and how much of a victim I am,
Mm.
in terms of my identities
Mhm.
and circumstances. So yeah, my work is all about identity in
Yeah,
the end.
yeah, and also like identity has a that a very important role in our the every part of our life,
Yeah.
and also in especially in these art forms and also in the visual basically popular culture.
Hmm.
And so I just kind of it brings to another question that that the kind of background that you come from, the identity that you carry, whether it is like you are tussling between two three multiple identities, but still you come from that lower strata, which usually that don't get the space in the popular culture,
Mm.
and also the space in the big that mainstream art forms, and also in the media
Yeah.
and the visual form. So how do you see that, how from your point of view, how do you see that, whether it plays a very crucial role in if you come from a unadvantaged group, underprivileged group, it make any difference in this space, art space?
I would say I have not really explored much yet.
Mhm.
I'm not very desperate at the moment because I've only had like understood myself. I'm only starting to acknowledge my feelings, emotions around identity. I'm taking it very slow, and I'm not really bothered right now about anybody's uh, appreciation or being in a space.
Mhm.
I'm coming in terms with myself. I am writing my story. I am making art, and I just want to keep doing that right now. And I don't really think of what's
Yeah,
what's the
any
outcome.
obstacle, any
Yeah,
hurdle, you are not
yeah,
even
yeah.
thinking right
I'm not
now.
thinking of it. I'm not bothered at the moment
Okay.
because I think,
Because it's a reality, and whether you can just, that. postpone. You can't ignore it. You can just postpone for the another
I've
another
postponed and
day.
ignored my emotions and
Ignore that.
everything about me. Um, to be honest, I don't know if I have to share this, but I've always tried to hide my identity. Always run away. I've always ran away from it. I've always fought
Mm,
by hiding or working too hard.
mm,
For example, like in my university when I was doing my BTech, um, there was a professor who would say things like, "Oh, you're you're a you know uh, reservation candidate.
mm.
You must be dumb."
Yeah,
I was in national cadets, so usually doing NCC and stuff,
yeah.
it would give you some points when you go for like
Extra point for job
yeah
and
jobs and stuff. And he would say things like, a professor did tell me things like, "Okay, you're dumb.
mm,
You need to go do that exam. Uh, you should that should help you somehow to get
yeah,
a
you will
job or
definitely
something."
get job
Yeah,
and
yeah.
because you come
Otherwise,
from
you don't have like any ability or you don't
yeah.
have the brains to do that. So at that circumstance or at that incident, I
Mm,
didn't go for the exam.
mm,
I was like rebelling. I was the one who was losing, but I was I just had that rebellious nature all the time,
mm,
and I was fighting and hiding and working too hard against myself and for myself.
yeah.
So I had to slow down. I had to um, basically my life needed that break and slowing down, and I think my art is about slowing myself down and taking deep breaths and understanding myself deeper and navigating everything in a way where I don't have to like compete or have to um, I'm not in a rush. I'm not
Mm.
very competitive anymore. I think I just want to like do the things I want.
For your own.
Yeah, my own.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate thing, like for like in India that most of the that children are the most of the student from the Dalit community has to face like this that you have already said that how you've been treated as a quota student and how they just they target you through different the factors and different indicators, different means. But in your case, you found your solace in art, and you hide your caste, and basically, but like there are so many students who don't have mechanism to fight. Basically, they don't have anything which sometime that led their life as well.
Yeah.
So how do you see it? Like, do we need to have something to cope up, and how did you cope up? I know that you cope up with your art form, but still, like, it was a long journey.
Yeah. I think I'm still struggling. As far as I know, we met like probably a year back,
Yeah.
and I was really not this vocal back then. I was struggling alone because that was the time I was understanding myself, or I was like, okay, I can't hide this anymore. I can't do this anymore. It's painful to hide everything, or I would. So I would cry if I have to talk about caste, if I have to talk about everything my father went through, or mom went through, or their, because everything was passed on. My
Yeah.
mom would tell me terrible things about what her mom had to go through, and I knew what my father had to go through. He was a doctor, and when I say that,
Mhm.
everybody would be like, "Oh,
You are a privileged child.
yeah," and also they would be like, "Oh, you don't seem like a Dalit. You
Mm,
don't. Oh, your father was a doctor.
mm.
Okay, it has worked out for you," and things like that. That
Yeah.
such questions and such comments were passed on to me, or such things were said even in the UK to me. Like, okay, so you are a Dalit. Your father was a doctor, so it seems to have like it looks like the caste system has worked for you.
Yeah.
I faced that from like really uh, educated people,
Mm.
and I was really confused when I met you, and I didn't know how to actually deal with it. And thank you very much. I should definitely credit you because you had to like talk to me so many times
Yeah.
to sort of um, make me feel comfortable enough to be sitting here and talking this. I was not. I thought I would never be ready to talk about it.
Yeah, it's a very complex subject as well because it's not something that we can say like in a very light-hearted mode that
Yeah. And coming back to the question,
yeah,
I think from this, I think I am still a beginner in terms of facing it or tackling it,
yeah,
tackling the system of caste or fighting it. I'm still like trying to, uh,
finding
live.
your way
Yeah,
to
trying to live,
yeah,
and that's very important. Not to give up.
yes,
You know, live. There will be days where you have to compete, where you have to fight. There will be days
mm.
where you have to slow down and calm down and think about yourself and um, relax, basically.
Yeah, that's the only kind of way because for thousands of years we were like we are facing the same the consequences of this disease
Yeah.
named as
For
caste.
30
Yeah.
years, I thought education
Hmm.
and making a lot of money,
Hmm.
would bring me or would solve my issue. But
Yeah,
no, that's
it's
not
not.
the
Yeah,
case. I might become a millionaire. No, not
but
yet.
your caste will not go.
Yeah, absolutely. I could be well educated, but I wouldn't be treated equally.
Yeah.
And I've, I don't know how I did it. Now I'm so vocal about it. I am talking about it. But for 30 years, I've, I've been so silent. I've been so silent. There is so much rage. There's so much anger. There's so much pain. There's so much everything. But
Yeah, you couldn't raise your voice because the system is in work in such a way that it basically made you to be silenced basically,
absolutely,
not to talk about it and to
absolutely.
just endure like anybody else. So yeah, that's a very unfortunate thing in our lives as a Dalits.
So yes, it's good to have hope. It's
Yeah,
very important to have hope. Education can give you the confidence. It is not going to solve the problem, but it is going to like help you.
help you in
And
some way.
acknowledging what you go through and not letting people, treat you like that.
Mm.
Speaking up
Yeah.
and but not always looking through the lens of caste as well, because there had been circumstances where I think
Mm.
more caste than the people opposite to me, because I am always living my caste reality. And so it's very complicated. I don't think I would able to like advise anybody on this thing. Everybody should um, acknowledge how they feel. Everybody should find a way out of it and
Yeah, and also
keep
like
going.
yeah, that's very important point that you have raised here. But I just want to know more about your painting because you are an artist. So I just want to. I'm very curious about your painting, and I know that the audience gonna like about your painting as well. So I have noticed that there are some elements that you always kind of that work around in your painting like the color and so color sometimes work as a the resistive force in films
Yeah,
as a like anti-caste films
yeah.
specifically. So how do you see colors, the role of colors in your painting and how you use it?
I think I had like a for when I started from myself, which was when I look at myself, all I see is brown.
Mm,
So I started with my skin as a metaphor for identity, like how lots of artists do. So I started with brown, and then I started adding red to it as a symbolism to, you know, like
rebellion.
also like I was looking at it as if I'm going under my skin. And
So it's a
then
red blood.
I started like doing a lot of bleeding
Mm,
paintings to sort of it was such a nice process that uh, I just let things happen and I just went by the motto of just do it.
mm,
And then after red I started like adding blue
blue.
because I had a feeling that I needed to calm down. So I
Mhm.
think red and blue has always been like the opposites
Yeah,
in
it's
many ways, like how we see these colors. Red would make you more hungry, red could make you more angry. It can,
extreme color of
yeah,
extreme,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then
And blue, the other
blue.
end, it can
Yeah,
make you calm,
calm.
it
Yeah,
can make you, all that. So
hope. It can give you hope.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it evolved from brown to red to blue,
blue.
and I'm still like on a journey trying to bring more colors.
Mm.
I also really enjoy painting because it is more like for me and for lots of people. I'm not inventing anything here, but
Yeah,
it's a language to a lot of people, and I do think that language is mine as well. I would like to think I would be a painter forever, even though I try to do other things right now, like photography and making little things out of day to day objects and whatever I stumble into.
yeah,
I'm trying to tell a story by everything around,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. Definitely, art, like as I said, that works in such a powerful way that it can bring not change, but also that can give you a positive hope sometime also.
Absolutely.
And in your case, it is a form of a resistance as well, and also it works as an alternative medium to express your journey, yourself,
Yeah.
your inner self,
Yeah.
and like linking it to the the alternative form of filmmaking, where we have seen, like we are seeing currently, that so many filmmakers from Dalit community, from the anti-caste community, basically coming up and bringing their own story, own narrative to the fore,
Mm.
and they are talking about their own story. So how do you see that your art form is also a kind of a alternative form, and also the oppositional, that kind of that medium?
Yeah. So when I talk about painting, the main thing they say is like, oh, it's old. Painting's been there. It's not a new media. But then I also think what I'm talking about is not a new problem. It's a very old problem.
Yeah.
And I think painting could be like the medium in itself could like give it a meaning that I am talking about a very old problem. And I'm talking about reality, the real life, what we go through. And I also sort of stick to surrealism because
Yeah.
that's my hope. I
Mm.
think surrealism is my escape or from the reality. So I do paintings like
Mhm.
apples falling. I just paint anything that I feel or anything that I imagine because that imagination and that um, that living that imaginations or painting those imaginations
Mm.
helps me to stay away from my reality because reality.
And that's why you call yourself as a abstract artist and also absurdist artist as well.
Yeah, absurd is better than real.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes you want to be in that
Oh,
illusionary world.
yeah, I can't say if absurd is better than real. I think reality is absurd somehow.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
need to like come in terms with it somehow.
yeah.
And
But yeah, we sometimes we just separate both the things
yeah,
for our own convenience.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I live a very happy life in terms of my painting. I'm slowly like evolving into a surrealist painter, abstract painter, hiding lots of emotions as well as
Mm.
expressing few. Don't think everybody can understand or see through what I'm painting, but I know why I do why. Sometimes I don't either. That's a
Yeah.
beauty.
So on this note, I would like to thank you for
Thank you, Neeraj.
to taking time from your schedule to join on our show
Yeah.
and talking to us on about your art and about your journey. And it was really a very enriching discussion, and I hope that our audience will gonna enjoy it as well.
I hope I answered at least some of your questions. I have a problem with, jumping topics, getting from one point to the other.
Yes, it's fine. That's how you yourself describe as that absurdist artist. So it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
And as you said that your art is also in you and your art both are in the process of evolving.
yeah.
So I hope that we'll see more of you in your art. So on this note, I would like to thank you again.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is mine.